By and large, the world knows little about this almost forgotten nation, even less about its unenviable world-leading statistic. During the Vietnam War, more bombs per capita were dropped on this country than any other in international history. Records show that 580,000 bombing missions were carried out against this country during the war. Now, to put that in some kind of perspective, that's the equivalent of a plane load of bombs every 8 minutes, 24 hours a day for 9 years. The Vietnam War also saw the birth of the cluster bomb, also known as a bombie, an insidious device designed to maim as well as kill. So new at the time and so experimental, it had a 30% failure rate. 80 million not detonating, many still scattered across rural Laos today. They called it the secret war, an unauthorised war, and one that continues to stifle rural production today, a war still remembered vividly by Laos survivors. This is the famous Ho Chi Minh Trail, the supply line for the Viet Cong during the war. As such, it was the target for the majority of the bombing missions. But 40 years on, it's the people from the villages on this road who continue to suffer the consequences. More than 1 million of these large bombs are still intact, each one big enough to destroy a typical village and all its occupants. Wartime craters provide a stark example of their damage potential. Reminders of a nation living with unexploded bombs are everywhere. Outer casings providing a very inventive substitute for housing foundations. But the contents continue to take a deadly toll. One person killed or maimed every day as children play with bombies. Farmers accidentally strike unexploded ordnance and the poverty-stricken scavenge for scrap metal to sell. 35-year-old Tar lost his lower arms and the sight of an eye tampering with a cluster bomb. "18-year-old Lan lost a hand, a leg and the sight of both eyes just 3 months before our visit. His friend who disturbed the bomb killed instantly." The Australian government provides funding for rehabilitation through the COPE Centre, which stands for Cooperative, Orthotic and Prosthetic Enterprise. For Now Vang Lee, there's excitement. After 15 years making do with a wooden stump for a leg that kept wearing out, he's been fitted with a proper prosthesis. Ridding Laos of this menace is an enormous exercise. Australia has been a long-time supporter, focusing on clearance, mine risk education and victim assistance, working with international teams to train Lao operators in bomb detection and clearance.
Get the plastic charge, put it here, 50 gram, yeah. So we'll then crack the bomb like we did the other bomb a few days ago.
Preparation of a rice paddy in Laos requires a very different set of skills.
The community started to open up this area and started wanting to do paddy field cultivation. However, they found UXOs and they didn't feel safe to continue to work this area.
Organisations like Care Australia are running education programs in villages covering everything from nutrition and family health to the dangers of bombs. One strike with a sharp farming implement or cultivator could result in another death or severe injury from these cricket ball-sized bombies.
We make it completely safe, and then the metal is left for the village because they use this metal very often to forge tools.
But while progress is being made, the task of removing all unexploded ordnance from the Lao countryside is almost beyond comprehension.
Just to clear the whole country from the contamination, it takes several hundred years, 200-300 years. But even if we have to clear those areas like in the mountain, in the uninhabited area, so it may take up to 1,000 years.